One thing I've learned is that you might not always get to say your final word to somebody. You may not always get to have that final say. And it may be because that person leaves or because they pass away or whatever the case may be. So you never get to have that final conversation or that final word. And sometimes we fight with ourselves on, oh my God, I had this to say, I had that to say. I always think about that when I think about my grandparents. I used to always say when my grandma passed away that, man, I wish I had said all these things to her that I never got to say, but it was too late. I used to beat myself up about that all the time. Or like if somebody close to me would leave my life, whether it be a boyfriend or a friend or who family member or whomever, I always be like, this is somebody, I have to have the last word. I got something I want to say to them. But it was like I learned today and through therapy that you will not always get the last word. You may never speak to that person again to say, hey, this is how you made me feel, or hey, I wish we could hash this out. And I've learned that that's okay. That's okay if you don't always get the last word, because sometimes that's just how life is. And if it's a death, that means the person who passed away, you can just, you may not have gotten to say how much they meant to you. But I'm sure they're looking down on heaven and they know how much they meant to you. And you can pray to God and God can give them the message. Or for someone who left your life who you thought would always be there, you can say, God, I wish I had this final word to say to them. But you have to realize that you probably won't get that final word. And that's okay. It doesn't make it a bad situation just because you didn't get to say that final word. I fought with myself earlier. I didn't want to talk about this on here, to be honest, but I fought with myself earlier to send a text to somebody in my life who was no longer here, and I was like, man, because I was getting angry, and my friend said, no, Sherelle, you're not going to send that text. You're not going to say anything to this person. You're going to put the phone down, and you're going to just either write a letter and vent to that person, vent through the letter, or you're just going to let it go. But she was like, you're not sending that text. You're not, She said, what is that going to do for you? What is it going to do for you? Are you going to get your response? Are you going to get the response you want, or are you going to still be hurt? And I had to look at her and say, she told the truth. Sending a final text or something to somebody is not going to ease your pain. It's not going to change the situation. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get the response you want. So a lot of times when we don't get that final moment to say what we have to say, we have to realize it is what it is. I hate to say that because that sounds horribly blunt, but you have to move on and know that everything happened for a reason, and pray about it and just move on from it, because that's what I had to do. I had to pray about it, because unfortunately in this life, it's so many people I wish I could have gave a final word to, but I couldn't. I had to let it go. And it's not always, it's easier said than done, but you have to do what you have to do for you. And you have to not allow, someone's absence to get you to feel that way.